Alright, in this video I'm going to be teaching you how to do blunt slides and Noseblunt slides. So if you don't know what a blunt slide is, it's sliding sideways on your back wheels. This one's a front side blunt slide, so I'm going to be sliding backwards on my back wheels and my front trucks are going to be in the air. And then backside's going to be the same thing except you're sliding forwards. I didn't have enough speed for that one. Pop out! There's a couple of different ways you can get into these. It's not locked to just popping and then pushing the stick over to the right or left. You can also pop and use the trigger to turn and then put all your pressure on the back foot by pushing down. It's all about applying pressure to the correct foot. So you're going to want to approach the ledge or the rail at an angle so you can get your back trucks and your front trucks over the ledge. And if you're encountering a problem like this where your back trucks don't quite make it onto the ledge, either go a little bit faster so you can get your back truck on, or you can use the left and right pop to pop over just a little bit so you can get onto the ledge. So I'll go at a little bit less of an angle here, and then I can pop right over. So right here, I put my back foot into the pocket so I can pop over to the right, and then that's going to bring me over to the ledge and get my back truck onto the ledge. So you can either set up your back foot all the way to the right and then pop further over, or you can put it diagonally down and then you pop over a little bit less. Same for popping backwards, just push it all the way to the left, or diagonally left to pop over a little bit. So if you're in a situation where you can't really go at too much of an angle, you can just use the pop over and then you can get into the blunt. You might want to go a little bit faster though. There it is. Speed is key. If your character's not popping over to the left or right when you do this, go to the pause menu, go to options, gameplay, flip trick settings, and make sure board control is on manual. If it's on auto, you won't be able to pop over left or right no matter where you put your sticks. Also, if you're popping over left or right, it's going to turn your board a little bit. So you can see it turned the board just slightly. If you're doing the blunt with just the sticks and no trigger, just keep in mind that when you push all the way to the right, you're going to be a little bit more angled than you want to. So after using the pop over to the left, my board turned already. And then when I input all the way to the right to put the pressure on the back foot, you can see it kind of tilted a little bit more. Sometimes you land in a fakie 5-0, but in this case, I actually happen to land in a blunt. And if you're using the triggers to get into the blunt while using the left and right pop, just push the triggers down a little bit lighter than you word wobble, than you usually would. Because if you push the trigger a little bit too hard, you're going to kind of end up more in a fakie 5-0. But you're still going to push the back foot stick down if you're using the triggers to get into the blunt instead of using only the stick. It'll take a little while to get used to what angles you should go at and what inputs you should do based on what angle you're at. So if I'm going completely straight to this ledge right here, it's going to be a lot easier to get into a blunt because when you pop, your wheels are already above the ledge and all you have to do is just turn and then push down on your back foot, just to apply that pressure to that tail so you can slide it out the rest of the way. All of this applies to rails too, so just go at an angle, pop, put pressure on your back foot, and then turn out. You can pop over to the left, use the trigger to turn into the blunt, push down on the back foot, however you want to get into the blunt. I barely hung on to that one. So that's it for the front side and back side blunts. Let's move on to nose blunts. So if you don't know what a nose blunt is, you're going to be sliding sideways on your front wheels instead of your back wheels. This one was a backside nose blunt, so when you pop, you want to get both your front wheels and your back wheels over the ledge or the rail, land on your front wheels, and then push down on the nose, and then use the triggers to turn out of it. And a frontside nose blunt is going to be when you're sliding on your front wheels sideways, facing forwards instead of backwards. What was the camera doing there? So just like the blunt, you're going to want to go at an angle and then push the stick all the way to the right or to the left if you're doing front side. Or you can get in using the triggers. So when you pop, use the triggers and then push up on the left stick or front foot. For me, it's left stick because I'm regular. If you're goofy, it's going to be right stick up. Or if you're set to front and back foot, it's going to be left stick up. If you can't go at an angle, you can use the pop over to get into it. So just push your stick all the way to the left or the right, or diagonally down, depending on how much pop over you need. But in this case, I went all the way to the right, which popped me over to the right. And then I got my front truck on and above the ledge, applied pressure to the front foot by pushing left, and then press the trigger a little bit to get out. So to do nose blunt on a rail, it's exactly the same as you would do it on a ledge, except it's a little bit easier. So now that you know how to get into nose blunts and blunts, I'm going to show you how to get out of them. Flip tricks out of blunts or any grind or slide is actually going to depend on what your settings are. So for me, in my grind settings, I'm set to trick relative input on. So when you have trick relative turned on, when I get into this blunt and put my back foot all the way to the right, I'm going to push my front foot over to the left instead, because that's where my nose is. So that's what trick relative means. You do the trick relative to where your board position is. So for a regular ollie on flat, my board is facing straight, so I'm going to push the front foot up. But while you're in a grind or a slide, if your nose is facing to the left, that's where you're going to flick. So that's where you're going to flick the front foot. If I do a nose blunt, my tail is over to the left, so I'm going to flick the back foot over to the left. If you want to do a kickflip out of it, you're going to flick down instead, because the back of your board is facing you, so you're going to, flick backwards. If you want to do a heel flip, you're going to flick up. If you want to get a varial flip or a forward flip out, just scoop in the same direction that you normally would on flat, and then flick the front foot down so that you get the flip. Technically, that's actually a big flip out of a blunt. For an impossible out of a backside blunt, you're going to want to flick the left stick over to the right, because that's going to be the same as you flicking it downwards. That was kind of sketchy, but I got it. If you want to do a kickflip out of a frontside blunt, you're going to flick the stick up instead. And to do a heel flip, you're going to flick it downwards. So frontside nose blunt, flick up to do a nollie heel, and then you want to flick down to do a nollie flip out. So it all depends on which way you're facing while you're grinding or sliding. So if your toes are facing forwards, you're going to want to do a heel flip flicking up and a kick flip flicking down. If your heels are facing in the direction that you're going in a grind or a slide, you're going to want to flick up to do a kick flip and then down to do a heel flip. And for any scooping tricks, you're just going to scoop from the position that you're in. So if my back foot's over to the right, just start the scoop from there. So either scoop down or scoop up. Now, if you have trick relative turned off, no matter which direction your board is facing in a grind or a slide, you're going to do the trick as if you were doing it on flat. So if I want to do a kickflip out of a blunt, I'm going to flick the front foot stick in the same direction as if I was doing it on flat. If you want to ollie out, you just flick straight up. And then same for the nose blunt. If you want to just nollie out, you just push down on the stick on the back foot. Nollie heel is going to be over to the right. And nollie tray is going to be scoop and then flick over to the left. Boom. So that's with trick relative turned off. Alright, that is going to do it for this tutorial. Hopefully it helped you out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. But until next time, this is JL Nightmare and you'll see me in the next video.